Last but not least is Bobby Allison, the 2011 NASCAR Hall of Fame class. Bobby, congratulations. What's it feel like to be in the NASCAR Hall of Fame?
I'm gonna tell you what, it just really is okay. When they announced that I was selected for this year, it just gave me a great feeling, and the whole build-up has been good. And today has really just been a really fun day. Yesterday was pretty good too, but today was a really good day. And tonight, you know, to be able to get up there and have your brother, who, you know, we've had such a great relationship. We're brothers, and every once in a while we had to test each other. But to have your brother induct you into the NASCAR Hall of Fame is just out of sight.
Very good. We'll take a few questions for Bobby. Let's start right here with Jenna.
Jenna Fryer, AP, congratulations, Bobby. I think a lot of people were moved when you talked about Clifford and Davey and the loss that you and your family have suffered. Is that difficult for you to talk about, and is it difficult for Judy to hear about?
It really is, every time, every day. Yes, for both of us. You know, we watched the special last Saturday night, and we watched it together, and we really needed to, because we really had to hang on to each other. We really appreciated how well it was done, and, you know, really, really did enjoy the professionalism of the entire make of the story, but it still was so hard to go through that part of it. But we made it, and she supported me, and I hope I supported her a little bit. And I don't know that it will ever ease up any day, that it'll get easier or less painful, but it's what happened, and you know, it's our duty to go on.
I'll go over here with Reed.
Reed Spencer with the Sporting News. Bobby, it sounded like you were surprised at some of the things that Donnie said, maybe. But was there anything that you weren't expecting from him?
Well, you know, I've said many times before, Donnie and I had a great relationship 98% of the time. The other 2%, we were testing each other's knuckles and those kind of things, you know. And maybe not quite that bad, but pretty tough sometimes. And I didn't see what Donnie's speech was going to be. We were going to rehearse, and then we didn't do that. And, you know, I couldn't get my stuff all the way together like I wanted it, and I kept redoing it. And finally, Judy says, look, just go do it. And, you know, she encourages me, and so with her blessing, I decided I'd just go ahead and take it from the heart. Yeah, I had some notes, and I had covered some things to begin with from my notes, but I had listened to Donnie's comments, and you know, I got to agree with an awful lot of them. Maybe he didn't have to give me a little barb here or there, but maybe I did deserve it. And so the bottom line was, it was part of a great evening, and you know, even his presentation certainly made people enjoy it better.
Go ahead, Mike, right over here to your far right, Bobby.
MikeEverySpeed.com, congratulations. Do you have any idea how your career might have been different if you had not made that move to Alabama, if you'd stayed in Florida racing?
Yeah, I'd probably be a fisherman. Now, you know, in South Florida, there were racetracks, and I loved it. I went to the racetracks. In fact, there was a track in Key West called Stock Island Speedway. And they raced on Sunday nights. And at the time, the highway to Key West had 2 one-lane bridges. One of them was 7 miles long, and the other one was only about a mile long. But they had traffic lights, and if you got the red light, then you had quite a wait until you got a green light. And so it took all that to get down there, and then I wasn't winning. I hadn't won a feature yet. I won a heat race now and then, and I could run decent. I could win a couple bucks in the heat races around Hollywood and Hialeah and those tracks. But go to the pay window at Stock Island Speedway, and they might give you 50 cents. And then gas was 19 and 9 cents a gallon. And I didn't have enough money to buy a tank of gas to get back home. And then even at that, do whatever go borrow some money, get some gas, and drive all night to get back home. In fact, I even drove Judy on that trip a few times before we got married, just to see how tough she was. But we survived it, and we did it because I wanted to get to that next event. I wanted to get that next piece of experience, wherever it was.
Anybody else have a question? Up over here, and then Jorge.
Jay Pendle with All Left Turns and SB Nation. Kind of on that same line, Donnie said in his remarks that you were going up to Yankee Land, and you were the Alabama gang. You said the sport was a little redneck in the beginning. Yet you were going to places like New York and New Jersey and Maine. Just talk about the reception that you got up north, being the Alabama gang.
Well, a lot of places around the country, the fans really picked up on the Alabama gang idea. And I thought it just sounded so neat. And by that time, we had decided that Miami had been our home, but Alabama was our new home. He talked a little bit about it when we first got there, but he didn't have the story exactly correct, and I certainly didn't want to get up there and say that, out there in the arena. But what happened, we went to the first track we got to there. It was a Friday night. We went to the old Dixie Speedway in Midfield, Alabama, right there in Birmingham. And I ran 5th in the heat race, and 5th in the semi, and 5th in the feature. Now, to get the money to go to Alabama, I had run a 100-lap special event at West Palm Beach and finished 2nd. Red Farmer won the race, and I finished 2nd. And I had gotten $95 for that 2nd place. So we go to Alabama and find this little track, a cute little quarter-mile track, and 5th, and 5th. And I go to the pay window, and they gave me $135. And I said, Donnie, look at all this money. We have died and gone to heaven. But we really were there. The people were good and friendly to us, and the country was very beautiful in my eyes, lakes and rivers and mountains, a little bit of that very lower end of the Appalachian Mountains there. Really nice racetracks. And I wanted to run pavement because I thought pavement was going to lead to the NASCAR. The big tracks were going to have to be paved. And the dirt style was different. The driving style just really was quite different. And some guys really went back and forth real well. Richard Petty was the second best at going between dirt and pavement that I ever knew, but the best was Red Farmer. And Red Farmer could win on a Friday night on pavement and then go put dirt tires on his asphalt car and win on Saturday night. And, Richard Petty did that kind of stuff too back in the early days. He ran really good wherever he went. So but I still felt that our racing, NASCAR Cup racing, was going to go to paved speedways because the big speedways had to be paved. And you know, I felt like I had a really good touch for pavement. I could go to a place I'd never seen before and maybe win the race. And you know, I felt good about that. So you know, that's kind of how my attitude was about the whole picture.
Go ahead, Ben.
Ben White with Lexington Dispatch. A question for you, looking at all the races that you won, whether even before you went to Grand National or Winston Cup, is there one race that you worked the hardest for and you came out a winner? Does one come to mind?
The hardest that I worked for and didn't win?
That you did win?
Yeah, that's Martinsville, Virginia. You know, I won a modified race at Martinsville one day, but I never won a cup race. And I led that race as late as the 495th lap, and my darn old engine blew up. And you know, I finished second there, and I finished on back in the pack, finished second, third, fourth, everything but first place at Martinsville, Virginia. And it was a track that was most like my original home track, Hialeah Speedway. And it also was always so perfectly groomed and everything. It was my favorite place, and I still haven't won a cup race there.
Is there one that you did win at that you worked really hard for?
Well, you know, I mean, Darlington fit that deal, and I won a lot at Charlotte, you know, won Saturday and Sunday, and 600s and 400s and 500s and whatever at Charlotte. I won there several times. Only won 4 times in Atlanta. And Atlanta was a special track for me, you know. I really wanted to have won more than that there. But, you know, the other tracks, I was pretty pleased with whatever went on. You know, I had some good runs and got some wins on every one of them. Every NASCAR track except Martinsville.
Got time for one more question. Finish up right here.
Bobby, who would you like to see joining you next year in the Hall?
This question was, who would you like to see join you next year in the Hall of Fame?
Allison. And maybe Red Farmer. You know, that's a difficult question. There's so many great competitors. You know, I worked for Keke in 1956, and Buck Baker was the #1 driver on the team at the time, and I really, really liked Buck. Won a lot of races and was a great contributor to the growth of NASCAR. I liked Herb Thomas. You know, Herb Thomas was really the old school, you know, no team guy or anything like that. He ran a car for a one-car team. He drove for Smoke Enix some, and drove for himself some. Won a lot of races and won a couple championships. And there are a lot more people that fit in that category, but I haven't really looked at that from that standpoint. But I'll look a little bit, and maybe I'll give you a better answer somewhere along. But Donnie will be on my list, regardless of whoever else gets on there.
Bobby, thank you so much. Congratulations on being elected into the NASCAR Hall of Fame.